because the media day photos came out, and of course people are, talking about, the way he looked in the photos and stuff like that, and his weight loss and all those kind of things. So, is this the year for Zion? I have been, I don't know what the word is, but I have been someone who has continuously said if Zion could just be healthy, he's an MVP candidate, and I feel like he can really help his team. I said on this channel maybe I don't know, 3 years ago, whenever it was, I was like, the Pelicans are going to be the breakout team of the season. And they were the first half of the season. They were the number 1 seed, and Zion was, doing great, and then Zion got hurt. And so that was the end of that. But prior to that, like I said, Zion was doing amazing things. And if the Pelicans had ended up being the number 1 seed, I mean, who's to say that Zion wouldn't have won MVP? If they're the number 1 seed in the West, you know what I mean? So I say a lot to say. Every single year, I'm like, if Zion could just be healthy, he could be an MVP candidate. The Pelicans could be a dangerous squeaky floorboard. Every time, if you're a regular here, you know about the squeaky floorboard. It's also a regular on this channel, unfortunately. But if Zion could just stay healthy, there's no telling what the Pelicans can do. We saw what he did against the Lakers 2 years ago, I think it was. They were going to beat the Lakers, in my opinion. Zion was going crazy. And then, unfortunately, Zion got hurt, and that was, the end of that. So, different team, different roster construction. There's no more Brandon Ingram, no more CJ McCollum. Now you have Jordan Poole. You still have Herb Jones and Trey Murphy III and all that stuff. But new roster construction. And so with that being said, what do we think about the Pelicans this year, and what do we think about Zion? Do you think Zion's going to have a breakout season? Is not the right word. There's no, you know what I mean? He already broke out, he already showed that he can average 25 a game. But is Zion going to have a comeback season? I'll say it again, because clearly, every year, unfortunately, Zion gets hurt. But if Zion could stay healthy, Zion can be MVP. Now, I gave my way too early NBA MVP predictions, and I didn't have Zion on there because not just because of I don't know if he's going to be healthy, but also more so I don't think the Pelicans, no offense, because the West is so loaded, I don't know that they have a chance to be a top 3 seed in the West, Even if they're good, top 3 seed is really hard in the West. And I feel like you need to be that at least to win MVP. So even if Zion was averaging 30 and stayed healthy all year, I don't think the Pelicans will have enough success, even if they made the playoffs, right, for him to get MVP. So he could be putting up MVP type numbers, but I didn't have him as my, one of my MVP candidates. Regardless, though, I'll say it again. If Zion can just stay healthy, there's literally no reason why he can't put up MVP type numbers, and why the Pelicans can't be a really dangerous team for anybody in the playoffs. Now, as currently constructed, I guess, it depends on, how everything seems to, go through the season. But am I picking the Pelicans to come out of the West? No. Sorry, Pelicans fans. Am I saying the Pelicans will necessarily even come out of the first round if they make the playoffs? I'm not sure. It depends on the matchup. It's all about matchups now in the West. But am I saying that if they get the right matchup in the first round, that they can take someone down? Absolutely. I believe, listen, a lot of people don't believe in Zion, maybe because of his health. I believe in Zion. Healthy. When he's healthy. So again, that might be the stipulation for most people. I think a lot of people can agree that Zion, when healthy, is a very talented player. But I think Zion really does impact winning. Like, I don't think it's just talent. Like, again, I think they were going to win that game against the Lakers if he doesn't get hurt. Like, go look up what Zion was doing in that game. Crazy. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to prove everybody wrong who, has been doubting him. I think, again, as long as he stays healthy, I can't predict that, obviously. But as long as he stays healthy, I think Zion's having a comeback season. What that looks like, remains to be seen, I guess. But look out for Zion this year. And again, in terms of the Pelicans, again, the West is like impossible to pick. Where everybody's going and stuff like that. I gave my Western Conference predictions. I didn't have the Pelicans as a top 8 seed. That's no shade to the Pelicans. It's just the West is so loaded. I forgot to even put the Timberwolves in my top 8. Like, that is how loaded the West is. So I'm not saying they don't have a chance to be a top 8 seed. I just feel like, honestly, there's only a few guarantees, quote unquote, in the West to make the playoffs as long as they're healthy. Obviously, that would be OKC. And then a lot of people would probably say the Rockets are pretty much a lock to have a playoff spot. And I would, Fred VanVleet now out for the season with ACL tear. So maybe it's not a lock anymore. But you know what I'm saying. Before the Fred VanVleet thing came out, a lot of people, would have said the Rockets. Again, Fred VanVleet changed a lot of things, but, I think a lot of people would say Denver, definitely, because of, Jokic is there and stuff like that. So I think it's hard to say a lock again because it depends on health and stuff like that. But if you watch my predictions, I think the Warriors are going to make the playoffs. I think they're motivated from last year. I think that team is better than people give them credit for. And look out for Jonathan Kuminga situation. That's still ongoing. Like, that could turn into something, like a really good player. So, I think the Warriors will make the playoffs. I think I have the Clippers making the playoffs, but I know it's hard to, say Kawhi's going to be healthy. So, it's tough, but, like, they should make the playoffs, right? Like, if everybody's healthy, they should make the playoffs. Somebody said OKC almost lost to an injured Grizzlies twice. Got taken to 7 by a 6-man Denver rotation and still needed reps and still needed Hallie injury. Well, they swept the Grizzlies, so I don't know about that. Like, no offense to the Grizzlies, but they got swept. It wasn't even a close series. In terms of Denver, that was a really tough series. Denver showed out, they were really close. But I think I don't think it's fair to say that OKC I don't even know what your statement really was. Are you saying like they got bailed out or whatever? I feel like they earned their title. Like, I feel like everybody gets bailed out by the refs a time or two, no matter who you are. I think they earned their title. Like, I think they had to go through it. They had to go through some growing pains along the way, and they were able to figure it out in real time. The Denver series was the biggest example of that, like, because they could have easily lost that series due to inexperience. And they pulled it out, and I didn't think the reffing was unfair in that series at all, from what I remember. You know, like, there is nothing that sticks out in my mind where I'm like, oh, whoa, like, that series was so unfairly called. Maybe I don't remember it correctly, but I feel like it was pretty fair. And so they earned that fair and square. So I think OKC, I'm not saying OKC is impossible to beat. That's not what I'm saying. I thought I personally, if you watch the channel, you know I picked the Warriors to come out of the West. And I thought the Warriors obviously would have met up with them in the Western Conference Finals. And I think it would have been fair game either way. I could have seen OKC winning the series or the Warriors. Obviously, I feel like they both were good teams, but I had the Warriors beating them. So I'm not saying they're unbeatable, but I don't think it's fair to say that they were. I don't even know what the word is, but like they earned their title. That's basically how I feel. Now, of course, you're entitled to feel differently, but I'm just saying I personally don't feel that way. Somebody said, in my opinion, the defense being played on Jokic from the Clippers and OKC was over the line a lot of the times. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. Like I said, there probably were some unfair calls and stuff like that. I know that they were being very aggressive with Jokic. I know Alex Caruso was being very aggressive with Jokic and stuff like that. Not in a bad way, like, you know what I mean? But, like, I know that there was some physicality that was let go. So I do understand that some calls may have been unfair in some ways. Like I said, I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying OKC didn't get, any calls their way. Like, they, of course, got some calls that went in their favor that, maybe shouldn't have. But, like, I just think the notion saying, like, OKC, and again, that person's entitled to their opinion, of course. Like, I'm not shading them, but I'm just saying, like, me personally, I think the notion saying OKC didn't earn their title, I think is not fair to OKC. Like, I think they earned it pretty fair and square, you know what I mean? So, thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. I hope you enjoyed, and see you soon. Bye!